The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched wider than 3 football fields. Tall windows made of crystal showed the stars outside. More than 200 alien species sat in curved rows that rose high like steps in a stadium. They came from all corners of the galaxy. Some had scales, others had fur, some had many eyes, others had none. But they all came together here to keep peace among the stars. In the center of the hall stood Ambassador Zikthar. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights. 4 long fingers tapped against his leg as he waited for the council to stop talking. He represented the Veldorian Empire, one of the strongest forces in the galaxy. The Veldorians had taken over 12 planets in the last 50 years. Now they wanted a 13th, Earth. "The vote is clear," said Elder Counselor Nixama, her crystal body catching the light as she spoke. "The Council advises against any military action toward Earth and its colonies. The humans are under our protection." Zikthar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the quiet hall. "With respect, Elder, we do not need your permission. I am here only as a courtesy. The Veldorian Empire has decided. Earth has resources we need. We will take them." A low murmur spread through the hall. Many representatives shifted in their seats. They knew what happened when the Veldorians set their eyes on a world. Nixama moved closer to Zikthar. Though she was smaller than him, she seemed to grow taller with each step. "You misunderstand, Ambassador. This is not about permission. This is a warning." "A warning?" Zikthar's yellow eyes narrowed. "About these humans? I have studied their data files. They have only left their solar system in the last century. Their weapons are simple, their ships are slow." "Numbers and facts do not tell the whole story," Nixama said. "Humans are unlike any species you have faced before." At the back of the hall, a door opened. A human man walked in quietly and took a seat in the observer section. He wore a dark uniform with small silver stars on the collar. His face showed no emotion as he watched the meeting. "Lieutenant John Russell," Nixama said, nodding to the human. "One of Earth's representatives. Perhaps he can explain better than I can why attacking his world would be unwise." John stood up. He was not tall by human standards, but he carried himself with quiet confidence. "The Veldorian Empire has conquered many worlds, Ambassador, but you have always chosen carefully. Planets with peaceful cultures or limited military experience." Zikthar waved his hand as if brushing away John's words. "And Earth is different. Your ships can barely reach light speed. Your weapons cannot touch our shields. Your soldiers have not seen true war in generations." "That's where you're wrong," John said. His voice remained calm, but something in his eyes made several council members lean back in their seats. "Humans have never stopped fighting. We fight among ourselves, we fight against nature, we fight to survive against all odds. Peace is new to us. War is not." An alien with 6 eyes and green skin spoke up. "The human speaks truth, Ambassador. Their history is filled with conflict. They have a saying, 'Necessity is the mother of invention.' When pushed, they advance at incredible speeds." "Stories and sayings," Zikthar said with another wave. "The Veldorian Empire deals in facts, and the facts say humans are no match for us." John looked directly at Zikthar. "There's another human saying you should learn. Don't poke the bear." Zikthar's translator took a moment to process this. "Bears? Earth predators? What do they have to do with this?" "It means," John explained, "that sometimes the smartest action is to leave dangerous things alone." The ambassador turned away. "We are done here. The Veldorian fleet has already left our homeworld. They will reach Earth in 14 days. Your warning has been noted and dismissed." As Zikthar and his guards left the hall, Nixama approached John. "I am sorry, Lieutenant Russell. We had hoped they would listen." John nodded and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, sending a message faster than light back to Earth. "So did I, Counselor. But honestly, we expected this outcome." "What will your people do now?" Nixama asked. John's face remained calm, but his eyes hardened. "What humans have always done when threatened. We'll fight. and we'll win. Across the galaxy, on the blue-green planet called Earth, the message from John Russell reached military command centers around the world. Alarms sounded. Leaders were woken from sleep. Emergency plans that had been made years ago were put into action. In a deep underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Samuel Hayes looked at the room full of military officers from countries all over Earth. Just 20 years ago, some of these nations had been enemies. Now they were allies against a common threat. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Hayes said, "the moment we've prepared for has arrived. The Veldorians have ignored the Galactic Council. Their fleet is heading our way. We have 2 weeks to prepare." A woman stood up. Colonel Maria Garcia had been leading Earth's Special Alien Defense Program for 5 years. "All defense platforms are ready, General. The moon base is fully staffed. The Mars colony has been warned to go dark." "And Project Phoenix?" the general asked. "Ready," Maria said, "though we hoped we'd never need it." On screens around the room, images appeared of secret shipyards hidden in asteroids and under ocean floors. Ships unlike anything humans had ever built before waited there. They were smaller than the massive Veldorian ships, but they had been designed with one purpose: to fight an enemy with superior technology. "Begin full deployment," General Hayes ordered, "and send word to all research stations. Operation Last Light is now active." As the orders went out, people around the world began to learn that aliens were coming, not as friends but as conquerors. Fear spread, but so did determination. Humans had fought many enemies throughout their history, from disease to natural disasters to each other. Now they would face an enemy from the stars. In space, the Veldorian fleet moved steadily toward Earth. Commander Zakvor, cousin to Ambassador Zakthar, stood on the bridge of the largest ship. He looked at the image of Earth on his screen and smiled. "Such a pretty world," he said to his officers, "and soon it will be ours." What he didn't know, what Ambassador Zakthar had ignored, was that Earth was home to warriors unlike any the Veldorians had ever faced. And they were getting ready. Captain Samantha Wells stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant. The ship floated in space behind the dark side of the moon, hidden from the coming enemy. She looked around at her crew. Men and women worked at their stations, checking systems and weapons. No one spoke much. They all knew what was coming. "Status report," Samantha said, her voice steady despite the fear she felt inside. "All systems ready, Captain," said Alan Peters from the communication station. "The fleet is in position. Moonbase reports all defense systems active." Samantha nodded. 6 days had passed since the warning came from the Galactic Council. 6 days of frantic preparation. Earth had been preparing for alien contact for decades, but they had hoped for peace, not war. Now they faced an enemy with far better technology and much more experience in space battles. "Incoming transmission from command," Alan said suddenly. The main screen lit up with the face of General Frank Daniels. Deep lines marked his face after days with little sleep. "Captain Wells, we have visual on the Veldorian fleet. They've just passed Mars orbit. Expect contact in less than 12 hours. "We're ready, General," Samantha said, though she wondered if that was true. Could anyone truly be ready for Earth's first space war? "Remember your orders," the general said. "Observe only until they make the first hostile move. The President still hopes for a peaceful solution." The screen went dark. Samantha turned to look at her crew again. They had trained for this, but training wasn't the same as real combat. She thought of the history books she had read as a child, stories of human wars on Earth. Those soldiers had faced enemies with similar weapons and abilities. Her crew faced aliens with technology far beyond their own. "Alan, put me through to the entire fleet," she said. When he nodded, she took a deep breath and spoke. "This is Captain Wells. In a few hours, we will face an enemy that thinks we are weak, an enemy that ignored warnings about us. They believe their technology makes them better than us. Let's show them what humans can do when our home is threatened." Across the solar system, on bases hidden on moons and asteroids, humans prepared for battle. Scientists worked in underground labs, studying alien technology from previous encounters. Soldiers checked weapons designed to fight an enemy with energy shields and plasma guns. In Washington, D.C., President Catherine Miller met with world leaders on secure screens. They had set aside old arguments to face this new threat together. Veldorian ships will reach Earth orbit within the hour, President Miller said. Our fleet is in position, but we are outgunned. We must be united if we are to survive this. On the main Veldorian ship, Commander Zakvor watched Earth grow larger on his screen. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the blue planet. Any sign of resistance? He asked his tactical officer. None, Commander, the officer replied. Their primitive satellites continue normal operations. We detect some small military vessels, but nothing that could challenge even one of our ships. Zakvor nodded, pleased. His cousin had told him the humans would be easy to defeat. The Galactic Council's warning had been meaningless. Just old aliens afraid of the growing Veldorian Empire. Prepare the first strike, he ordered. Target their global communication systems and power networks. Once they are blind and confused, we will land our troops. The Veldorian fleet moved into Earth orbit, spreading out to cover all sides of the planet. Their purple hulls shimmered as they powered up their weapons. Humans watching from the ground saw new stars appear in the daylight sky. In the White House, President Miller received the message from the alien commander. It played on screens around the room. People of Earth, your planet and its resources now belong to the Veldorian Empire. Resistance is futile and will be met with overwhelming force. You have 6 hours to surrender your governmental authority. The world leaders looked at each other. Some faces showed fear, others anger. President Miller stood up, her decision already made. Send our response, she said to her communications officer. She looked directly at the camera as she spoke. This is our home. We will defend it. High above Earth, Commander Zakvor received the human response. He laughed and turned to his officers. As expected, begin the attack. The Veldorian ships fired energy beams at Earth's satellites. In seconds, hundreds of communication and weather satellites exploded. On Earth, television and internet services went out. Cell phones stopped working. Panic began to spread in cities around the world. Next, the aliens fired special weapons that created electromagnetic pulses over major cities. Power grids failed, cars stopped working. Darkness fell over New York, London, Beijing, and dozens of other cities. Second phase complete, reported the tactical officer. The humans are now isolated and without power in their major population centers. Good, said Zakvor. Begin landing troops outside their 10 largest cities. We'll start with a show of force to convince them resistance is hopeless. As alien landing ships broke off from the main fleet and headed toward Earth, something unexpected happened. Hidden defense platforms on the moon activated. Missiles shot out, aiming for the smaller Veldorian ships. Commander, shouted the tactical officer. We're under attack from the moon. Zakvor spun around, surprised. The moon. There was no sign of weapons there. Several landing ships exploded as Earth's missiles hit them. The moon bases had been hidden on the dark side, shielded from Veldorian scans. It's a minor setback, Zakvor said after a moment. Target those moon bases and destroy them. Then continue with the invasion. The Veldorian ships turned their powerful weapons on the moon. The defense platforms exploded one by one. Victory seemed assured once again. But then new alerts sounded on the Veldorian command ship. Multiple small vessels approaching from behind the planet, reported an officer. Earth's hidden fleet moved into attack position. The ships were smaller than the Veldorian vessels, but fast and hard to hit. Captain Samantha Wells sat in her command chair, watching the alien ships grow larger on her screen. All ships execute attack plan Delta, she ordered. Target their engines and weapon systems, stay mobile and don't let them lock onto you. The human ships darted between the larger alien vessels, firing missiles at weak points identified by Earth scientists. Several Veldorian ships took damage before they could respond. On the ground, as alien troops began to land outside major cities, they met another surprise. Earth's militaries had not gathered to defend the cities as expected. Instead, they had gone into hiding, ready for guerrilla warfare. In the forests outside Atlanta, Major Eric Jones watched the alien troops march toward the city. His soldiers were hidden in trees and underground bunkers. They had trained for this moment for years. Let them pass, he whispered into his radio. We hit them from behind just like we planned. Across Earth, similar scenes played out. The aliens had expected to fight human armies on open battlefields, where Veldorian technology would easily win. Instead, they found empty cities and an enemy that refused to fight the way they expected. In space, Captain Wells watched as her ship barely avoided a Veldorian energy beam. Keep moving, she ordered. Don't give them a steady target. Commander Zekfor grew angry as reports came in from all fronts. The humans were not surrendering as expected. They were fighting back in ways he hadn't prepared for. These humans are more clever than we thought, he said to his officers. But it doesn't matter. We still have superior forces. We will crush their resistance no matter how long it takes. What he didn't understand yet was that humans had spent centuries fighting wars against each other. They knew what it meant to face a stronger enemy. They knew how to adapt, how to survive. The Veldorians would soon learn why the Galactic Council had warned them about Earth's warriors. 3 weeks into the invasion, Commander Zekfor stood on the bridge of his ship and stared at the battle reports with growing anger. The quick victory he had promised his leaders had not happened. The humans were proving to be much more difficult to defeat than expected. How are they adapting so quickly? He demanded, smashing his fist against the control panel. They're using tactics we've never seen before. His tactical officer looked nervous as he replied, Sir, they're studying our technology and finding ways to use it against us. Every ship or vehicle we lose becomes a source of information for them. This was not how invasions usually went for the Veldorian Empire. On other worlds, the local species would fight in predictable ways. They would gather their forces and face the Veldorians directly. They would lose badly, and then surrender. But humans were different. They refused to fight in the open where Veldorian technology gave them an advantage. We control the skies, Zekfor said, trying to find something positive. And we hold parts of their major cities. Yes, Commander, the officer agreed, but we're losing too many ground troops. The humans are using hit-and-run tactics. They strike quickly and then disappear into underground tunnels or dense forests where our sensors can't track them. In the ruins of what was once Chicago, Major Eric Jones led his team through the broken streets. They moved silently, staying in the shadows of damaged buildings. Each soldier carried a mix of human and alien weapons. They had learned that Veldorian energy shields could be overloaded by certain types of human explosives. Movement ahead, whispered Linda Green, the team's scout. 5 Veldorians patrolling the street. Eric nodded and gave hand signals to his team. They spread out, taking positions behind chunks of concrete and burned-out cars. The alien patrol moved closer, their tall blue forms easy to spot against the gray ruins. Wait for my signal, Eric said softly into his radio. Remember, aim for the gaps in their armor at the neck and joints. The aliens passed by, unaware of the humans hiding just a few meters away. When they were in the perfect position, Eric gave the signal. His team opened fire all at once. The first 2 aliens fell immediately, hit by special bullets designed to pierce their armor. The other 3 turned and fired back with energy weapons, but the humans were already moving to new positions. Moving to Phase 2, Eric announced. He threw a small device that landed near the aliens. It looked like a simple human grenade, but inside was technology taken from a damaged alien ship. When it exploded, it released a pulse that temporarily disabled the aliens' weapons and communications. In seconds, the fight was over. All 5 Veldorians were down. Eric's team quickly collected the alien weapons and equipment. Get that armor back to Dr. Gordon, he told 2 of his soldiers. She's been wanting to study their helmet systems. Dr. Lisa Gordon worked in a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of a university. She'd been a physics professor before the invasion. Now she led a team of scientists who studied alien technology and found ways to use it. Look at this, she said excitedly when the alien helmet arrived. She connected it to a computer and began examining the code that ran its systems. Their visual spectrum is different from ours. They can't see certain colors well. That's why they keep missing us in the forests. This pattern repeated around the world. Humans didn't try to match the aliens' technology directly. Instead, they found weaknesses and exploited them. They created new weapons by combining their own technology with pieces taken from destroyed alien equipment. In orbit above Earth, the space battle continued. Captain Samantha Wells's ship had taken damage, but so had many Veldorian vessels. The humans had learned that the alien ships had blind spots in their sensor systems. They used these blind spots to approach unseen and plant explosive devices directly on the hulls of enemy ships. "We've lost contact with the ground forces in Sector 7, Alan Peters reported from his station. "The human resistance there is growing stronger." Samantha nodded. "Send the information to Commander Rodriguez. His team can support that sector." The USS Defiant had become the coordination center for Earth's resistance. It moved constantly to avoid detection, using the moon as cover when possible. Samantha hadn't slept more than a few hours at a time for weeks, but she kept going. Everyone did. They had to. On the main Veldorian ship, Commander Zekvor received a message from his homeworld. His leaders were not pleased with the progress of the invasion. "You assured us this would be simple," said Supreme Leader Zekmar, his face filling the screen. "Yet 3 weeks have passed and you still face resistance. These humans are not like other species we have conquered," Zekvor tried to explain. "They adapt quickly. They learn from each encounter." "Excuses," the Supreme Leader said coldly. "Increase your efforts. Use whatever force is necessary. We need Earth's resources, and we will have them." When the transmission ended, Zekvor turned to his officers. "Prepare our largest weapons. We will target their most populated areas. Perhaps then they will understand the futility of resistance." The Veldorian ships positioned themselves over major human cities that had not yet been attacked. They charged their most powerful energy weapons, designed to destroy everything within a 50-mile radius. But as they prepared to fire, alarms sounded throughout the fleet. "Commander," shouted the tactical officer, "multiple small objects approaching, at high speed." Earth had launched hundreds of missiles, not aimed at the Veldorian ships but at the space around them. When the missiles exploded, they released clouds of tiny metal particles. These particles formed a dense field that blocked the aliens' sensors and scattered their energy weapons. "I can't get a clear target," reported the weapons officer, frantically trying to adjust his systems. While the Veldorians struggled with the sensor blackout, human ships moved in close. They fired specialized weapons directly at the energy charging systems of the alien vessels. Several Veldorian ships exploded as their power cores overloaded. In his hidden command center under the Rocky Mountains, General Samuel Hayes received reports of the battle. "It's working," he said to his officers. "Phase 1 of Operation Last Stand is complete. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 involved a daring plan. Human scientists had been working on a way to disable the Veldorians' communication network. If it worked, the alien ships would not be able to coordinate their attacks. Dr. William Carter was the lead scientist on this project. He had spent weeks studying captured alien communication devices. Now he activated a series of transmitters around the world. They sent out signals that matched the frequency of the Veldorian network, but with code designed to create confusion. On the alien ship's officers suddenly received hundreds of conflicting orders. Some systems shut down completely. Others operated at random. "What's happening?" Zekvor demanded as his ship's lights flickered. "Some kind of cyber attack," replied his communications officer. "They've infiltrated our network. I can't block it." For the first time since the invasion began, Zekvor felt a flicker of doubt. These humans were proving to be far more dangerous than anyone had expected. The Galactic Council's warning echoed in his mind. In her hidden laboratory, Dr. Lisa Gordon made a breakthrough. She had been studying the power source of Veldorian weapons. "It's based on a type of energy manipulation we theorized but never achieved," she explained to her team. "But now I know how it works." She showed them designs for a new weapon. It would use the same principles as the alien technology, but modified to work with human equipment. If we can build this, we can fight them on equal terms. Engineers around the world began constructing these new weapons. Materials were salvaged from destroyed alien craft. Scientists worked day and night to understand and adapt the alien technology. Major Eric Jones and his team tested the first prototype. It was heavier than a normal rifle but much more powerful. The energy beam it fired could penetrate Veldorian armor easily. "This changes everything," he said after the test. "Get these into production immediately." As humans began to turn the tide, Commander Zakavor faced a difficult decision. Should he call for reinforcements, admitting that his force was not enough, or should he escalate the conflict, using weapons that would destroy large parts of the planet? The Supreme Leader wants the resources of this world, he reminded himself. If we destroy them, we fail in our mission. He made his decision. Send a message to the homeworld. Request additional ships and troops. Tell them these humans are more formidable than we expected. The message would take days to reach the Veldorian homeworld. Until then, Zekfor would have to fight with what he had against an enemy that grew more dangerous by the day. On Earth, humans continued to adapt and fight back. They had always been good at warfare, having practiced it against each other for thousands of years. Now they used all that experience against an enemy that had never faced such determined resistance. The Veldorians had been warned. They should have listened. On the Veldorian command ship, Ambassador Zikthar arrived through a special faster-than-light transport. He had been sent by the Supreme Leader to find out why the invasion was taking so long. His cousin, Commander Zekfor, did not look happy to see him. 40% of our ground forces lost, Zikthar said, reading from a report. 5 capital ships destroyed. Hundreds of smaller craft damaged or captured. How is this possible? Zikfor's 4 fingers tapped nervously on the control panel. These humans, they don't fight like other species. They learn too quickly. They adapt. They're primitives, Zakthar shouted. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Not anymore, Zikfor said quietly. He showed his cousin images from recent battles. Humans using weapons that looked like a mix of their own technology and Veldorian designs. Soldiers wearing armor made from pieces of alien ships. Every time we lose a ship or a soldier, they study the remains. They're catching up to us. Before Zikthar could respond, alarms sounded throughout the ship. "We're being hacked again," reported the communications officer. A human face appeared on the main screen. It was Dr. William Carter, the scientist who had created the program that disrupted Veldorian communications. "Hello, Commander," William said calmly. "I thought it was time we spoke directly." Zekfor stood up, surprised. "How did you access our secure channel?" William smiled. "We've been studying the possibility of alien contact for generations. Every science fiction book, every movie, every theory about how alien technology might work. When you arrived, we already had ideas about your systems. You gave us working examples, and we simply filled in the blanks. What do you want?" Zikthar demanded. "To give you a chance to leave peacefully," William replied. "This war can only end one way." Zikthar laughed. "You think you're winning? Reinforcements are on the way. Soon we will have twice as many ships, 3 times as many soldiers." "It won't matter," William said. His face showed no fear, only certainty. "You fundamentally misunderstand what you're facing. Humans have been fighting wars for our entire history. It's in our blood, and we've always been at our most creative, our most determined, when our survival is threatened." The screen went dark as William ended the transmission. Zakathar turned to his cousin. "He's bluffing. They can't possibly stand against our full might." "I'm not sure," Zakfor said slowly. "There's something happening that our sensors can't explain. Some kind of energy buildup on the far side of their moon. Across the world, humans were putting the final touches on their most ambitious plan yet. Engineers and scientists in hidden bases worked on a fleet of new ships. These vessels combined human designs with Veldorian technology. They were smaller than the alien ships, but faster and more maneuverable. Navy Commander Michelle Harris walked through the secret shipyard built inside a hollow mountain. Workers moved quickly around her, installing weapons and shields on the new vessels. "Will they be ready in time?" she asked the chief engineer. "Just barely," he replied. "The first 10 ships are ready for pilots now. The rest will be completed within 48 hours, Michelle nodded. "Good. I'll take the first squadron up myself." In orbit, Captain Samantha Wells received the message from Earth Command. "Operation Swift Strike is green. Repeat, Operation Swift Strike is green. Begin your attack run in 30 minutes. Samantha turned to her crew. "This is it, people. The diversion we've been planning. We need to keep the Veldorian fleet focused on us while Commander Harris leads the new ships into position." The USS Defiant and 20 other human vessels moved out from behind the moon. They headed straight for the main Veldorian fleet, weapons ready. "They're attacking directly?" Zekfor couldn't believe what he was seeing. "They must be desperate. Or, they have a plan," Zikthar said, suddenly worried. "Check the other side of the planet. Make sure they're not trying to flank us." But the Veldorian sensors showed nothing unusual. The human attack seemed to be exactly what it appeared, a frontal assault by a much smaller force. "All ships, target the human vessels," Zikfor ordered. "Destroy them quickly." The space battle began. Human ships darted between the larger Veldorian vessels, firing precisely at weak points. They took damage but kept fighting. It was a brave display, but the outcome seemed inevitable. The aliens had too many ships, too much firepower. On Earth, Commander Harris gave the order. "All new vessels, launch now." Hidden doors opened in mountains and under oceans. The new human ships rose into the sky. They looked sleek and dangerous, with weapons that glowed with alien energy. Michelle sat in the command chair of the lead ship, named Hope. "All pilots, stay in formation. Remember your training. Today we take back our skies." The new fleet didn't head directly for the battle. Instead, they flew around the planet, staying out of range of Veldorian sensors. They approached from the opposite side, where the alien fleet was thinnest. In the main battle, Samantha Wells watched as her ship took another hit. "Hull breach on Deck 3, reported a crew member. "Emergency systems activated." "Keep fighting," Samantha ordered. "We just need to hold their attention a little longer." The first Veldorian ship to spot the new human fleet was a small patrol vessel. It sent out an alert, but the message was garbled by the humans' communication disruption. "Unknown vessels approaching from Sector 7, reported a confused officer on Zekvor's ship. They look like our ships, but smaller." "Show me," Zekvor demanded. The screen displayed the new human fleet. The vessels were clearly Earth-made, but they carried Veldorian-style weapons and shields. They moved with incredible speed, their engines glowing with energy that the aliens recognized as their own technology. "Impossible," Zikthar whispered. "They couldn't have developed this so quickly." "Target those ships," Zikfor shouted. All available vessels break off from the main battle and intercept. But it was too late. The new human fleet was already among them. Energy beams shot out, cutting through Veldorian shields as if they weren't there. The humans had not just copied alien technology, they had improved it. Commander Harris's voice came over the Veldorian communication system. "This is Commander Michelle Harris of Earth Defense Force. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Surrender, now, or be destroyed." Pride prevented Zekfor from surrendering. "Continue the attack," he ordered. "They cannot possibly defeat our entire fleet." The battle raged for hours. Human ships fell, but so did Veldorian vessels. The aliens had numbers, but the humans had surprise and determination. They fought with a ferocity that shocked the Veldorians, who were used to enemies that gave up when faced with superior force. On the ground, the tide was turning as well. Human soldiers with new weapons pushed back against Veldorian troops. Cities that had been under alien control for weeks were being reclaimed, street by street. Major Eric Jones led his team through the underground tunnels beneath what had once been New York City. They emerged near a Veldorian command post. Each soldier carried one of Dr. Gordon's new weapons designed to overpower alien shields. Remember, Eric said quietly, we need to take their commander alive if possible. We want to send a message. The attack was swift and precise. Human soldiers fired their new weapons and Veldorian shields failed almost instantly. The aliens fought back, but they were surrounded and outnumbered. Within minutes, the alien commander was captured. He looked at the humans with a mixture of fear and confusion. How did you defeat our shield? He asked. Eric smiled grimly. We studied your technology, we learned how it works, and then we made it better. In space, the battle reached its climax. Commander Harris's ship engaged directly with Zekfor's command vessel. The two ships circled each other, firing continuously. Our shields are failing, reported Zekfor's tactical officer. We cannot withstand another direct hit. Zekfor looked at his cousin. Zekthar's face showed what they both knew. They had made a terrible mistake in attacking Earth. Send the signal, Zekfor said finally. All ships cease fire. Prepare to retreat. As the Veldorian fleet began to disengage, pulling back from Earth orbit, human ships didn't pursue. They held position, weapons ready but not firing. On the Hope, Commander Harris received a transmission from Earth Command. Well done, Commander. The enemy is retreating. Hold your position but do not pursue. Let them go. Michelle understood. The order. Humans had won the battle, but chasing the aliens would be risky. Better to secure Earth and prepare for what might come next. All ships, maintain defensive positions, she ordered. Keep weapons ready, but hold fire unless fired upon. On the Veldorian command ship, Zekfor and Zekthar watched as their fleet pulled away from Earth. The blue planet grew smaller on their screens, but the shame of defeat grew larger in their hearts. The Supreme Leader will not be pleased, Zekthar said quietly. No, agreed Zekfor. We have failed. But even with 3 times as many ships, I'm not sure we could win. Not now that they understand our technology. Ambassador Zekthar thought back to the warning he had received in the Galactic Council chamber. The Elder Counselor had tried to tell him that humans were different, that they should not be underestimated. He had laughed at the warning then. He wasn't laughing now. We need to report this to the homeworld, he said. Perhaps the Supreme Leader will reconsider this invasion. 6 months after the Veldorian fleet retreated from Earth, Lieutenant John Russell stood once again in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. This time, he did not sit quietly in the observer section. He stood in the center, where ambassadors addressed the council. Beside him stood Ambassador Zekthar, no longer proud and dismissive but subdued and formal. The chamber was fuller than John had ever seen it. Representatives from hundreds of worlds had come to witness this historic moment. They whispered among themselves as they waited for the proceedings to begin. Elder Counselor Nixama rose from her seat, her crystal form catching the light. This emergency session of the Galactic Council will now begin. We are here to address the conflict between the Veldorian Empire and Earth. She turned to Zekthar. Ambassador, you may speak first. Zekthar stepped forward. His yellow eyes didn't meet those of the council members. The Veldorian Empire acknowledges its error in attacking Earth without council approval. He paused, the words clearly difficult for him. We request peace, negotiations with the humans. A murmur ran through the assembly. The Veldorian Empire had never before admitted defeat or requested peace. They had always either won their wars or fought until destroyed. And what does Earth say to this request? Nixama asked, turning to John. John straightened his uniform and looked around the chamber. Earth is willing to negotiate peace with the Veldorian Empire under certain conditions. He pressed a button on a small device he carried. A hologram appeared above the council floor, showing images of the battle for Earth. Human ships fighting alongside captured and modified Veldorian vessels. Soldiers using adapted alien technology. The people of Earth defended their home against an enemy with superior technology and numbers, John said, his voice strong and clear. We did not seek this conflict, but we proved ourselves equal to it. The images changed to show Earth's new fleet, ships built with a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. They looked powerful and sleek. We no longer wish to be just observers in this council, John continued. Earth demands full membership and the protections that come with it. Another murmur, louder this time, spread through the chamber. A tall alien with green skin stood up. This is unprecedented, he said. No species has ever jumped from observer status to full membership without centuries of proven peaceful participation in galactic affairs. John nodded. These are unprecedented circumstances. The Veldorian attack forced us to advance our technology by decades in just months. We now have the ability to travel throughout this galaxy. We need to be part of the rules that govern it. Nixama raised her hand for silence. What are Earth's conditions for peace with the Veldorians? John turned to face Zikthar directly. First, the Veldorian Empire will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and independence. Second, they will provide compensation for the damage done to our cities and infrastructure. Third, they will share certain technologies that we still lack, particularly in the field of medicine. Zikthar looked surprised at these relatively modest demands. Many had expected humans to seek revenge or territory. And finally, John added, the Veldorian Empire will support Earth's application for full council membership. The hall filled with voices as council members discussed these terms. Some seemed outraged, others intrigued. Nixama called for order, then addressed John again. These are unusual requests, Lieutenant Russell. Some members feel that Earth is demanding too much, too soon. John smiled slightly. With respect, Elder, we are not making demands. We are stating facts. Earth will have a place at this table. The only question is whether we come as friends or... He let the sentence hang unfinished. Are you threatening the council? Asked the green alien, standing again. Not at all, John replied calmly. I'm simply stating that Earth will be part of galactic affairs from now on. We would prefer to do so within the structure of this council, following its rules and traditions. But we will not return to isolation and vulnerability. On Earth, President, Catherine Miller watched the council session through a special transmission. Beside her sat General Samuel Hayes and Dr. Lisa Gordon, whose work had been crucial to Earth's victory. He's doing well, the President said, listening to John's words. Firm but not aggressive. The council needs to understand that we won't be pushed around, said the general. But we also don't want to make enemies of the entire galaxy. Dr. Gordon pointed to some data on her tablet. Our new ships are impressive, but there are species in that room with technology far beyond even what the Veldorians had. We need allies, not more enemies. In the council chamber, Zikthar was responding to Earth's conditions. The Veldorian Empire accepts these terms, he said, surprising many. We will support Earth's bid for membership. Nixama looked around the chamber. The council must vote on this matter. Earth's request for full membership is extraordinary, but so are the circumstances. A voting period began. Representatives from each world registered their position. The chamber grew quiet as the results were tallied. John stood still, showing no emotion, though his heart beat faster. This vote would determine Earth's place in the galaxy for generations to come. Finally, Nixama spoke. By a margin of 7 votes, the Council approves Earth's application for membership. She looked directly at John. Lieutenant Russell, please, inform your government that Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. John bowed slightly. Thank you, Elder. Earth accepts these responsibilities and will honor them. As the session ended, many representatives approached John, curious about humans and eager to establish relations with this new power in the galaxy. Some seemed friendly, others cautious or calculating. One tall, bird-like alien leaned down to speak quietly to John. Not everyone is happy about this decision, human. Some feel you have forced your way into the Council through military action, rather than earning your place. John met the alien's gaze steadily. We didn't start this conflict, we simply finished it. If that makes some species uncomfortable, perhaps they should consider why. Back on Earth, humanity was changing rapidly. The technology gained from the war was revolutionizing every aspect of life. New medicines cured diseases that had plagued humans for centuries. New energy sources made power clean and almost free. Ships that could travel between stars were being built in orbiting shipyards. In what remained of Chicago, Major Eric Jones supervised the reconstruction efforts. Buildings were rising again stronger than before and incorporating alien materials that could withstand almost any disaster. "It's amazing how fast we're rebuilding," said Linda Green, who had fought alongside Eric during the invasion. Eric nodded. "Humans have always been good at that, tearing down and building up again. It's what we do." In orbit above Earth, Captain Samantha Wells stood on the bridge of a new ship, larger and more powerful than the USS Defiant. It was called the USS Unity, a symbol of Earth's new place in the galaxy. "Status report," she said, just as she had so many times during the war. "All systems nominal, Captain," replied Alan Peters from his station. "We're ready for our first diplomatic mission." The Unity was heading to a nearby star system to establish formal relations with a species that had reached out after Earth joined, the Council. It was the beginning of a new era of exploration and diplomacy. Commander Michelle Harris was leading her own mission, training pilots for Earth's growing fleet. "We're not just warriors," she told her students. "We're explorers, diplomats, scientists. The war showed what humans can do when threatened. Now we need to show what we can do in peace." In her laboratory, Dr. Lisa Gordon led an international team studying a new form of faster-than-light travel, based on principles learned from various alien technologies. "The Veldorians actually did us a favor," she told her colleagues. "They forced us to advance faster than we would have on our own." At a special ceremony in Washington, D.C., President Miller addressed the world. Behind her stood representatives from countries around the globe along with several alien visitors. "The war united humanity in ways we never thought possible," she said. "Old enemies became allies against a common threat. Now we must stay united as we take our place among the stars." She unveiled a new flag, the flag of Earth, which would fly alongside national flags on all human ships and colonies. It showed the blue planet against a field of stars, a symbol of humanity's home and its future. 1 year after the Veldorian invasion began, Lieutenant John Russell returned to Earth. He had been appointed Earth's first permanent ambassador to the Galactic Council. Before taking up his post, he met with the President and her advisors. "How are we viewed by the other species?" President Miller asked. "With respect, caution, and some fear," John replied honestly. "They're impressed by how quickly we advanced, but concerned about what that means for the balance of power." "And the Veldorians? They're keeping their promises so far. The reparations have begun and they're sharing medical technology as agreed. I think they're trying to save face while avoiding another conflict." The President nodded. "And what's your assessment of our position going forward?"